Hello everyone and welcome back to Wolfpack Wednesday number 14. I know, I'm sorry, I missed the past, 2 weeks? 2 weeks in a row I missed Wolfpack Wednesdays. But to be fair, I was, consistent for 13 weeks in a row, okay? I tried my best and I was so upset when I missed the 14th, like 2 weeks ago. But to be fair, I was going through it in terms of like trying to get things done. Bottom line, I just didn't want to give you a video where I wasn't just all in and just ready to be here, but now I am. And I am going to try my best to continue that. But we are in like the midst of extremely busy months. August, we had San Diego Comic-Con, which we're going to talk about today. And then I'm going to be at Gen Con probably at the time that you are seeing this video for tomorrow. So I'm trying to get out this last video. And other than that, I do want to tell you about our fun time at San Diego Comic-Con 2023. So first off, I did want to say a huge thank you to Tate Wu, who got me, Banz, Josh, and a few others to help him out over there in exchange for a badge. This video is not sponsored by Tate, but we did demo a lot of his games, and I will be talking about a lot of the games too. So today's video, I'm going to tell you about a couple of the games that were in the board game demo room in San Diego Comic-Con. Like, have you ever heard of that? I haven't. I think it just started like last year or very recently, so I'm so happy to see that board gaming is growing into Comic-Con, and I can really see it being a lot bigger in the coming years. And after we talk about the games, I'm also going to show you some clips just from us walking around the demo hall, along with a very tiny haul of things that I managed to get while I was there. So fun vlog, gonna be super chill, super relaxed, and yeah, let's get started with the first game that we saw. So the demo room there was pretty tiny. I feel like there were about maybe 15 or 10 publishers there demoing in one room. And one of the first games I saw that I was super interested in, they were actually our booth neighbors. And this game is called The Unseen, which is actually available now. I'll leave links to all the games to talk about down below. Again, not sponsored, but I was super interested in this game. And it's a 1 to 6 player co-op game. And each player is playing as an asymmetric hero with a ton of different variety of weapons and armor to play from. And what I found super cool was that as you are defeating, so like in the story of the game, there's like one evil lord, and that evil lord has a bunch of different monarchs across the dungeons. As you defeat each monarch, you're building up to fight that one pit lord in the very middle, in the very center. And as you're defeating these monarchs, you're also leveling up your equipment, you're gaining different abilities, and I love how each hero is playing out with a unique ability as well. Because like, you know me, you know I love asymmetry, and any game that has asymmetry, I'm always like down for. I think that's where me and Sam from Below the Board always agree. We just love our asymmetric abilities. Ultimately, what's crazy is that this is spiritual warfare where you are trying to slay the darkness and all of his monarchs of evil. You're getting stronger as you slay each enemy and monarch. You can even gain forged weapons. And the best part for me is that it's not just co-op. There's also a PvP mode, completely separate map where you can dish it out on one terrain. And that was game number 1, The Unseen. And then we move on to game number 2. So if any of you remember my video about rival restaurants, it was like one of the very first like trailer videos that I did on my channel. And we worked together a long time ago. I think it was like 4 years ago. It's one of my very first projects. And after Rival Restaurants, they came out with a brand new game recently called The Illiterati. So it was super amazing to see John and the whole team there. If you're seeing this video, super awesome to see all of you. And thank you for your time for demoing and showing me this game, which I'm going to tell everyone about right now. So in The Illiterati, this is a real-time game where you're trying to form different words. So yes, it has that Scrabble-esque vibe to it, but it's pretty different because you're working cooperatively to form all of these words and you're using these letters together. The kicker is that the illiterati, the evil folk, are coming in to burn your letters away, I think with each turn, from what I understood. You're also trying to meet different objectives listed by different books that you're opening. Like for instance, sport terms could be your category, and then you spell them using 8 letters, and 3 of those letters have to be yellow. So I love the theme. It's super cool how the illiterati are coming in to make the world illiterate. And for you to prevent them, you got to spell out your words. So that right there is game number 2, The Illiterati. Now from there, I didn't get much of a chance to check out all the other games, but I did know Dwellings from Breaking Games was there. Mike, it's a pleasure as always. And Mike was demoing some other games. I think Mansplaining was one of them, and Dwellings was definitely there. Super fun to see everybody playing that game. And we also got to see a gameplay that will be out very, very soon. This is the Arkham Asylum files. The Infinite Rabbit Holes team was there too. I kid you not. They always have like the coolest ideas for promos. They were passing out dollar bills, and on these dollar bills was the Joker. And on the bottom, you couldn't even tell. Like everyone that I showed didn't even know the bottom part was a sticker where I think it said something like, "See the world like me." And if you go to that link, you'll see an introduction to Joker Vision. And I'm very, very excited to tell you about this game. Like, again, this is not a sponsored video. I absolutely love this game though, and it's super, super fun. And we did some gameplay with Banz and Rain and Phil from 1 Minute Board Games that we're going to show very, very soon. So it's super fun to meet up with the team over there. And then lastly, the games that we got to demo, we demoed a few games. And it's funny because I don't think I have much footage of, like for B-roll of the card games that we played, but I do have some footage of Into the Stars. And I know these games like that. Like I said, we played these games 3 days in a row. I know a ton about these games. We all do. And there were a ton of people that were coming by our booth to like play it. So we had a game going like every single minute, practically every single day during our shifts, except for the last day. I think last day was like the slowest day, and we had like a 30-minute grace period, a 30-minute break in the morning, and after that it was just back-to-back demoing, which is super fun. You know, it was really nice meeting everybody. So starting first with Into the Stars. Now, Jenna, if you're watching this from the Board Game Garden, if you're watching this, I highly think you should check out this one. This is something that would definitely be up your alley because it is a roll and write game. And with this roll and write game, it also has an astronomy theme, which I think is exactly why you'd be super interested into it. So in Into the Stars, how it works is you are rolling dice. And then when you roll dice, you're going to, for the person that is leading the round so far, they're going to select 3 dice. With those 3 dice, everyone else gets to choose one of the other dice. And it's not selective or unique. Everyone can just play around with that pool and just choose one die. With that die, you're going to draw a line, and ultimately your goal is to make a constellation. The first constellation is going to be much easier to construct, and then when you do that, you also are going to draw out your constellation around the stars that you just made. And you're also trying to meet several different conditions listed on your card. Like you have to, going from grid to grid, that would allow you to connect from galaxy to galaxy. You also have to have a certain number of colored stars, like 6 pink stars or 6 green stars or 6 blue stars. And then you also have to have like a certain polygon made as well. So there are several different conditions that you need to meet. And then you draw a constellation like a dog or a turtle. And then after that, phase 2 begins. And now you get to start on a more difficult constellation. And this game overall plays from 1 to, I think, 6 players. I think we played in like a 6-player group. And you're pretty much just drawing constellations in each section of the board. So I think the idea is really unique. Something that I haven't experienced before at all. And for roll and write, you know, normally, I'll be honest, normally I don't like roll and writes. Like I said, I spent 3 years with it. And I think the more I played it, the more I enjoyed it too. So that was the first of the 4 games that we demoed. And then I'm going to tell you about my favorite one of the 4 at the very end. But we also demoed, let's see, 3 other card games. First one is Bobo Mahjong. Really quick and easy teach, probably like a 1-minute teach. And ultimately, you are trying to create drinks. And with drinks, you have a stack of 1, 2, 3 piles right in the center. And with those 3 piles, it's a set collection game. So the more combos that you form with your set, then the more points that you score. Like I said, super easy card game. And that was Bobo Mahjong. The next one was a much faster paced card game. This is 1, 2, 3 cheese. You are a set of mice that just stole a bunch of cheese and you're trying to run away from the humans that are grabbing you. But here's the thing. The more cheese that you have, then the more likely you are to get caught. So you want to get rid of your cheese. In this game, it's a card game where you are trying to play pairs, straights, and a number that's higher than the number that's already being played on the table. And each person has their own stash. You're trying to get rid of your stash and have as little cards as possible. And where the game really takes a turn, so because every turn you play like 1 card to each stash, right? Or not 1 card, you play 1 set to each stash. You can play a card or a set. And you can even take cards from your stash too, because the 5s count as like a reset. So then if I play a 5, then I can also play like a 4, 3, or 2. And then each round also, the top deck will tell you which card is going to be worth the most amount of cheese. For instance, if I drew a card and it was a 3, then that 3 is worth 3 points at the end of the game. You do not want a high number of points. You want as little amount of points as possible. So you want to get rid of your 3s. And the best part for me in this game was actually during phase 2, because once you get rid of your hand of cards, you draw back up your entire stash. And here's where the game really just escalates, because now you play all your combos out because you have all the cards possible. So you can make like 6 card straights and just like dash them on to other people. And it's super, super fun. I loved 1, 2, 3 Cheese. This was like maybe a 5 to 7 minute card game. A little bit longer than the next one I'm about to tell you, and a little bit shorter than Bobo Mahjong. I feel like in terms of length, I feel like Bobo Mahjong was the longest, followed by 1, 2, 3 Cheese, followed by my favorite game to demo out of the entire Comic-Con, and that was Fork. I absolutely loved Fork. Right out when I went home, I immediately pre-ordered it because it's amazing. Y'all, if you have not heard of Fork, you need to check it out. It's so good. This is a game that I don't normally carry games in my pocket because they're boxes, right? I normally don't carry card games in my pocket. This is a card game I would easily carry in my back pocket, like wherever we're going, because this would be so fun. And I feel like this would be one of my first ever travel card games that I would carry. So in Fork, it's called, or it's an acronym, and it stands for Fox, Owl, Rabbit, Kale. And it's such a good game because you're trying to eat the other animals, okay? And when you're eating the other animals, how it works is there's a ranking system, because foxes are the strongest and they're the ones that can eat anything but the kale. They will not eat kale. And then you have owls, which will eat rabbits, but they also will not eat kale. And then you have rabbits, which will only eat kale. So on your turn, all you do is announce a suit like mountain or Arctic, and then everyone around the table has to play the same suit. You don't know what card they're going to play yet. So then you play a card face down, unless it's kale, and then everyone takes turn one by one. And then if anyone plays kale, it's going to be face up, okay? And then everyone reveals the cards that they played, and then the ranking system occurs. So if I played an owl, and then Banz played a rabbit, and then Josh played a rabbit, then my owl gets to eat one of those rabbits. And then sometimes rabbits are worth a different amount of victory points. So then you can take that card and then keep it into your set, and the first 5 cards will end the game. And whoever has the most victory points, usually the person who ends the game, is the one who wins. So it's a really, really quick game. And the fun part is like in the psychology of this game. There's a lot of mind games going on here. And it's so quick because announce a suit, play a card, and then complete the ranking system. That's it. It's a really simple, straightforward game, but there's a lot more to it. And I think the most fun part about it is figuring out when to play Kale, because Kale is being played face up. So if I were to start with Kale, then it's more likely the next person is going to start with a rabbit, and the next person is thinking like, oh, are they going to try to go for that Kale, or are they going for that rabbit? Should I play an owl to get that rabbit, or should I try to take away that Kale and play rabbit 2 that's higher ranking than rabbit? So there's a lot of fun questions that you're asking yourself from each turn. If you haven't even heard about Fork, or if you want to pick up a light, travel-friendly card game that's super fun, you definitely need to check out Fork, because that was my favorite by far from the day. With that said, those were the board games that I got to experience, at least in the board gaming hall. And then outside, actually, there were a couple of publishers. There were 3 that I saw in the exhibition hall. We saw the Op there handing out some unique Loki dice. We also saw Frosthaven. They were demoing Jaws of the Lion and little sections of Gloomhaven and Frosthaven, I think, at their booth right in the middle. And then they also had, I think, Simon was also there with their huge Galactus mini that wasn't very mini. It was also painted too, and it looked really, really nice. And I think those are the 3 main publishers that we saw outside of our demo hall. Other than the games, here's a little snippet of us walking around the exhibition hall. It was my very first time at Comic-Con, so just seeing everyone in cosplay and seeing all of the amazing artwork was absolutely incredible. I tried so hard not to like buy anything. I'm trying to like be wiser about my budget, but I will say, and I will admit that I got a couple of things. So in terms of artwork, I got a really cool Bleach one. If any of you watch Bleach, this is Ichigo in like 3 different forms. I put this one on my cabinet and it's freaking crazy. The lenticular art in this one shows 3 different forms. It shows his regular form, and then his Bankai form, and his hollow form, which were like my favorite parts, my favorite evolutions. As soon as I saw this, I had to grab it. And then I also got another one too. This one was insane. He actually gave me like a buy one, get one half off. So then I got Trunks slicing Frieza in half. You know, it was insane. Like if you go from the left side, you just see them like about to fight each other. Turn to the right, and you just see a sliced version of Frieza, and then Trunk in the background. That one was crazy. And I think my favorite of the lenticular, they're all really cool. But I actually got a bigger version of Katara from the last Airbender. One form is of her water bending, and then the other one is of her blood bending. As soon as I saw this, my like jaw dropped. I was like, this is so cool. So I got that, and I hung it right across from me on my blue wall. So I have some artwork outside from the photographs over here in my studio now. Spices it up a little bit, gives some anime flair to my studio. And then after those three, I also got a bunch of nano blocks for Jackie. I'm not big on puzzles at all, but I do love the result, and Jackie loves making them. So I got her a bunch of nano blocks like Mega Blastoise, Mega Venusaur, and the Charizard set. And they also threw in a couple other like random ones, which was really nice of them. Oh, last couple of things I wanted to mention. I think one of the coolest booths that we saw was actually at the Blizzard Diablo booth. That one was unreal. So we waited in line, and then they had the workers, the staff were all dressed up in like red cloaks, like the priests in the game. And then when you get into like this waiting room, there's like just a TV playing the trailer. And then when you get into the main attraction, it was a full-on like church. They built a church in the exhibit hall, and in this church they had like this little script that they played out with a priest kind of just like watching you. And then they had this crazy animation of Lilith pop in, and rose petals just like fell everywhere, and I think it was like super cool. And what they made of that space was really, really impressive.
Which you seek is here with me.
No, do not listen to her. Stay true to the light, I beg you.
Faith.
So that was a Diablo booth. We also swung by a bunch of other things. I saw Street Fighter. I really want to play Street Fighter, but like I'm kind of trying to pick and choose my time and also spendings, like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat 1. And I'm like, I'd rather play Mortal Kombat 1, but Street Fighter looks really good too. It was also really fun. We watched for a little bit. The Capcom booth was so exciting. Everyone was playing on the arcade, and they also projected a huge screen in the middle. That was insanely cool. And then we also, like right next to that area, there was like a huge hall of these giant, extremely expensive Marvel statues. It was like Iron Man, Hulk for like 15, 16, something crazy, $1,000. And it was, Thanos also was humongous. Thanos' arm alone was like the size of my body. And I was telling Banz, I was like, you know, if I were to ever have just limitless spending, and if I could just like play around with a giant studio, I would just have a hall of Iron Man statues just for fun, just because. That's crazy though, $16,000 for each one. The last thing I wanted to tell you about actually was my last purchase. This one we busted a mission for. Woke up early, and apparently you had to go to the Marriott or another hotel outside of San Diego Comic-Con. You had to go to another hotel right next to it and wait in line for you to get a ticket for you to have the opportunity to purchase this limited edition statue. And it was funny because I was telling Josh and Banz, they were both asking me like, hey, if there was one thing you had to get at Comic-Con, what would it be? And for me, I was so niche. I was like, if there is a Majin Vegeta statue or figure, I'd get it in a heartbeat. We walk around the exhibit hall, and then boom, it's like right smack in front of us. I'm like, oh my God, I have to get it now because that is so rare to see. We like booked it over there to get a ticket for an opportunity to buy Vegeta later on. And luckily, I think right after I bought mine, it sold out like 2 people after. So I was really, really lucky to get a Majin Vegeta statue. And that was probably my favorite purchase of the entire trip. So with that said, that was our fun little adventure over at Comic-Con. It's my first time there, so it was really fun seeing all the cosplays and the artwork. Also really fun demoing board games for Tate. Really loved meeting everybody and introducing all these games to them. And I will be demoing a lot of games too in the next couple days. So Gen Con, I will be at the Lucky Duck booth. If you're seeing this, come by and say hello. Feel more than welcome to. Don't be afraid to say hi. And yeah, that was our trip. If you made it here to the very end, comment Fork, because that was my favorite game from San Diego Comic-Con, and a game that I can't wait to get the full production copy of very, very soon. So with that said, thank you all so much for watching. As always, Wolfpack, I appreciate you so much, and I'll see you all in the next one.